While I've got the console apart, I decided I'd polish some chrome, and I sandblasted, grit blasted the rear ashtray insert, and I'll hit that with reflective aluminum. Easier to do this stuff while you have it apart. Before I put the interior back in, I'm going to wash, polish, and wax the console. I have it washed and polished. And one of the items on the list is the driver's side door. See how hard it works? Well, we take off the door panel, we can get to the mechanism, and we can get things lubricated up. What do you say? Let's give it a go. I'm also a big fan of Eastwood's plastic pry sticks. And I've gone around the door and I've popped off all the trim clips, and these things do a great job. The armrest, and there's 4 holes in here. Just make a mental note on which 2 the screws use. Installation will be obvious. It's only going to fit one way, but chasing these things back up in for installation can be a bugger. Well, I'm glad I got into this, because do you see what the door panel is missing? There is no plastic vapor barrier. So we'll fix that on the install. So we're going to need to remove the door lever mechanism. That's this screw, this down here, or perhaps it's this one, catches the rod. I'll bet you it's this one. And now you're looking at the rod, which runs over to the door mechanism. And as you can tell, everything in here is crying out for lube. So we'll do that while we got it apart. And there's your vapor barrier. Now let's put the door back together. Door panel on. And let's see. No squeaks, nice and easy. I'm going to give it a clean, put on the armrest, call it done. We've been spending a lot of time on console covers lately. Console covers used F, G, and H. In particular, I'm working on the H convertible, and the whole thing is that I don't have the console retaining strap for the front armrest. It's only used on the front armrest, but here is, let me take that out. Jamie Hyde has made up new retaining straps, and we went to install it here and found that the receiving anchor was not present. Well, this is what that receiving anchor looks like. Here's a spare. There, you can see the receiving anchor. And now that's incorrect, and that's not right, and that's not right. Now if you notice, this is gold. That's the correct color for the H. In fact, these should have a gold flocking in them. The F and the G have black bases, and I think the leather is more of a white. So if you were to take one of these things apart, that's the center flap. There's the hinge arrangement that goes in here with these keeper plates that are sometimes difficult to reassemble. There's an original retaining strap. You can see how it's, well, after 50 years, it's kind of given up. Now this piece fits inside the top here. See, it would normally lay in there, and you wouldn't ever see it because it's covered with leather. And so here would be your normal top. And there, that's where that retaining anchor would go. This one is a volunteer piece. It's, So now we're looking at an F, and there is the console, and if you open it up, it looks normal. Apparently, there are at least 2 styles of F consoles. I'll show you the different bass next. So here is another F. This happens to be Virgil, for those of you who know. But we noticed this on Jamie's car. There's a guide pin arrangement. And a stud. I hadn't noticed that before. I have never seen an H with it. I don't know that much about G's, but some F's have it, some F's don't. So what's all this about? Well, we've been busy cleaning the seats. First time in probably 20 years they've been really scrubbed and cleaned. The McGuire's and the Lexol here really did a good job. So these are ready for reinstall. So here's one back seat installed. Getting these floor seat cushions in can be a real wrestle. In this case, if you raise the top cushion, you can minimize any interference, which will make it easier when trying to get that bottom one to catch on the seat hooks. Same car passenger side. Now if you notice, the bottom of the seat has got two tabs, and what you're supposed to do is put screws through that to retain it, but yeah, you really don't need to, and this car does not have it. But also a proper seat bottom, which we've got right here. It also has a tab, and that is supposed to go with a sheet metal screw into here. Again, you don't need it. So these are the seat hooks that can be difficult to catch. And there we go. I've also been working up in the engine bay, and I replaced the power steering return line with a new one. Don't use heater hose. Here, this one even says right on it, power steering return. Heater hose just won't take the heat and the oil. And while I was at it, I replaced the power steering pressure line. There is a surprisingly high amount of pressure that goes through that line from the pump. And of course, you're talking about an exhaust manifold right over here. So you've got hydraulic fluid, which is flammable, under high pressure. This is a hose that I got from Rock Auto. They're still available. They were used for lots of years. I think that's a good thing to change every, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Just happened to be replacing the fuel filter on this. And look at what they used for the fuel line. They just made their own, but they did not put the upset on the end. Geez, you don't want to make a mistake like that. Fuel line, gas under pressure, above an engine, above an exhaust manifold. That's what you're supposed to have on the end of the fuel lines. So that's coming off, and I happen to have a correct 62, and I'll put it on. I never thought Chrysler had the best idea moving the fuel line, fuel filter up here. I think 62 is the first year they did that. 63, 64, they moved it down into this area, and it's a little harder to access, but What the heck for a fire safety? I think it's a much better idea. Okay, rant off.